Hello, gentlemen. So we are now in unit number 4. That is compare and contrast essays. Let me start with the question. What is comparison and how do we do it? A comparison is always made between one and one, means one to the other. We take only two objects or subjects and compare them. What do we compare here? Here we compare the similarities and differences between the two given subjects, and eventually draw comparisons based on their differences. Watch the two visuals here, both directly opposite to each other. The first one is a carpet of green, a long stretch of green rice field somewhere in Asia. The sounds, the breeze, and the smell are all unique. The scene here just takes us into the green fields to enjoy its beauty with the chirping sounds of birds in the background. The second visual is straight, the opposite. A sea of sand, a vast desert like the empty quarter. Both are beautiful. That's the similarity. However, there are several differences between these two landscapes. Now let's take two well-known animals. A camel and a cow. Both share several similarities. The milk of both is healthy, and the meat is delicious and so on. However, there are a number of differences that make both unique in itself. Let's come to classroom learning. The first picture is a formal traditional class inside a room, whereas the other is an informal class in a large garden under a big tree. Both share several similarities and differences. Which is better? It is according to the subject taught. For example, for science subjects, a formal classroom is better. On the other hand, for studying arts or literature, the informal class may be a better choice. With this long introduction, let's pass on to the structure of the essay. As usual, we will write 4 paragraphs. An introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. As usual, the introduction will have the hook, followed by some background information, and finally it ends up with the thesis statement explaining the main focus of the essay. Body paragraph number 1 will talk about the similarities using cohesive devices. Don't forget that it should start with the topic sentence. The cohesive devices here are connectors, and we will discuss in details next. Body paragraph 2 follows the same structure as body paragraph 1, but discusses all the differences. Here, when you talk about the differences, we need to draw comparisons, and this is the main crux of the essay. And finally, the conclusion, which summarizes the essay, and it ends with your recommendation or advice. So how to make comparisons? We need to use adjectives that too, comparative adjectives. For this, you should know how the root adjective changes itself. If the adjective has only one syllable, as in the case of big, small, nice, tall, we need to add er to the adjective. So the adjective becomes bigger, smaller, nicer, taller. But if the adjective has 2 or more syllables, we need to add more before the adjective, like expensive. Expensive becomes more expensive, beautiful becomes more beautiful, and comfortable becomes more comfortable, and so. If the adjective ends with y and has 2 syllables, then you need to change y to I and then add er to that. For example, busy becomes busier, funny becomes funnier, and happy becomes happier. In all cases you need to add than to all the adjectives, so that the comparison can be done correctly. For example, the Camry is more expensive than the Corolla. For body paragraph 1 and 2, you need to use different cohesive devices. This list of cohesive devices will help you understand how to use them in sentences. Now let's take a sample essay. A comparison between two cars, the Camry and the Lexus. Once you get the topic, make brainstorming and collect all the points that come to your mind. Then divide them into similarities and differences. Start with the similarities. Follow this slide very carefully and check how the cohesive devices are used. The same has to be done for differences. Also, when you discuss the differences, make sure you make the comparisons. Now, let's try an essay. A comparison between the Apple iPad and the Samsung 7. The first step is that we make brainstorming and collect all the possible relevant points. Then we divide them into similarities and differences. When you describe the differences, we need to draw comparisons. We will start with the introduction. The introduction has a hook, some background information and a thesis statement. Make the hook interesting and attractive so that it attracts the attention of the reader. The introduction should be carefully planned to get the best grades. Look at body paragraphs 1 and 2. Make sure that you use cohesive devices while constructing the sentences. Special care should be taken in body paragraph number 2. Apart from cohesive devices, make comparisons. Look at these sentences. The iPad has a larger screen and so it is more comfortable than the S7. So you explain what the advantage is and then bring out the difference with suitable cohesive devices. Make sure that you don't repeat the connectors once used. Show a variety of connectors so that you get more marks for the use of fresh vocabulary. We have reached the last part, the summary. Make the summary very simple, probably in 2 sentences. Summarize the main points and end the essay in your recommendation. To remind you, all the essay should be around 250 words only. It means a minimum of 225 and the maximum of 275 words. Do not write more. So that's all, gentlemen, for this topic. Now read these topics, make brainstorming. Collect all your points, shortlist them and then start practicing. All the best, gentlemen, work hard and get ready for your exams. Have in your mind practice makes you perfect. Leave your comments, do not forget.